Research shows that eccentric overloading is the single most powerful lifting technique there is for muscle growth. It's been shown to trigger at least 50% more hypertrophy, up to 300% more strength gains, and a 7,000% growth hormone spike, along with many other highly unique benefits we'll go over in a minute. However, most people don't know how to effectively eccentrically overload, or at most know one or two methods. In this video, I'm going to give you 6 different eccentric overload methods and explain the pros and cons for each and when to use them, featuring many techniques I developed myself. And I'd like to know which method you guys think is the best in the comments section below. But first, I'll take 60 seconds to briefly explain what eccentric overloading is and why it's so darn effective. There are 3 basic types of muscle contractions. Concentrics are when the fibers are shortening under tension, isometrics are when the fibers stay rigid under tension, and eccentrics are when the fibers are lengthening under tension, which is usually the negative phase of a lift. When comparing those 3, even just normal eccentrics have been proven to trigger greater size, strength, power, and speed, even in muscles not directly worked. They build fast twitch fibers more and even convert slow twitch ones. They enable higher workloads and cause less fatigue even with the higher workloads. They're better at improving mind-muscle connection, range of motion and flexibility, preventing and rehabbing injuries, and even enhance brain function more. And perhaps most importantly, our muscles can generate up to 60% more force eccentrically than they can concentrically. So, for example, your eccentric 1 rep max is actually 60% heavier than your concentric 1 rep max. The only way to take advantage of that differential, though, is to somehow manipulate our lifts so that there's more weight or load during the eccentric phases than there is during the concentric ones. That eccentric overloading essentially puts all those eccentric benefits we mentioned on steroids and introduces completely new ones that only come with overloading, like turning stem cells into muscle. So here are the 6 different methods you can use to dramatically enhance your gains via eccentric overloading. First is what I call the self-assist technique, where you'll overload one side at a time eccentrically, and then use the opposite limb to assist and take off some of the load during the concentric phases. This is the method I used the most, at least until I could use method number 6, which we'll get to shortly. The pros to this one are that you can do it by yourself. You can easily change up how much you're overloading the eccentric phase mid-set or even mid-rep by adjusting how much you assist during the concentric phase with the opposite limb. And as you near failure, you can even use the opposite limb to start taking on some of the weight during the eccentric phase to get more reps in. Cons are that you can only overload one side at a time. It doesn't work well for core muscles, and when you do switch sides, the new limb will already be somewhat fatigued from assisting during those concentric reps. The self-assist method is best for when you want maximum control over the concentric and eccentric loads, or when you want to go all the way to true muscle failure and you're by yourself with standard equipment. Next is what I call concentric cheating, where you'll use momentum by swinging the weight, leaning, swinging your body, any form of momentum to cheat through the concentric phase, and then slowly resist the eccentric phase using proper form. So the actual load stays the same, but the momentum makes the effective weight during the concentric phase significantly lower. Pros are that you can do it by yourself, and you can overload both sides simultaneously, saving time and working both sides more evenly. Cons, you can't adjust or decrease the concentric or eccentric load during a set, giving you less control or customizability, and you're limited in how much you can actually overload the eccentric phase, so the difference between concentric and eccentric load isn't as significant. This cheat method is best for when you want to overload both sides at the same time, and you still want to get some concentric work in, which will make more sense in a minute, and you're by yourself with standard equipment. However, this method carries the greatest risk of injury due to momentum use and poor form. So it's not used in my online programs, and I very rarely use it with the clients that I train one-on-one. This next method is similar because, again, you're not going to change the actual weight load, but this time you'll change the angle of the lift in a way that puts less effective load on the target muscles during the concentric phase, and then again slowly resist the eccentric phase using proper form. Pros, you can do it by yourself, you can overload both sides simultaneously, saving time and working them more evenly, and you don't need to use momentum or bad form, so it's much safer. Cons, you're working different muscles in different ways during the concentric phase, so it's essentially a different lift concentrically versus eccentrically. Again, you're limited in how much you can actually overload the eccentric phase, and you have to know what angles will decrease the effective load on the target muscles. So it requires ingenuity along with a much deeper understanding of anatomy and biomechanics, or just following programs from someone like me who applies that understanding for you. The angle method is best for when you want to overload both sides simultaneously while still getting some concentric work in, but you don't want the increased injury risk that the cheating method presents, and you're by yourself with standard equipment. With the fourth technique, you skip the concentric phase entirely by using a completely different set of muscles to get back to the start of each eccentric phase. Pros, you can do it by yourself, you can overload both sides simultaneously, and it technically provides the biggest overload differential since there's no concentric load at all. However, no concentric load is also the biggest downside or con of this method, mainly because eccentric and concentric contractions actually have different regional hypertrophy effects, which means they preferentially engage different sections or regions of each muscle. For example, eccentrics work the lower biceps more, and concentrics the upper. So it is important to still work both contraction types. As I always say, variety is absolutely essential in every aspect of health and fitness. Still, this is a great method to use for when you want to max out your eccentric overload and don't want any concentric fatigue detracting from it, or for bodyweight exercises where you can't do a single concentric rep at all, or when you're rehabbing from an injury, because using only eccentrics will accelerate rehab and decrease the likelihood of aggravating the injury. Fifth is the partner assist method, which my beautiful wife, who is right now pregnant with our fourth baby, will help me demonstrate. With some lifts, your partner can add actual weight to each eccentric phase. With lifts where that's not possible, they can simply push or pull on the weight, or on you, either to add eccentric load or remove concentric load, or both. It's less precise than adding actual weights, but more flexible. Pros, you can overload both sides simultaneously, you don't have to use momentum or bad form, you don't have to change angles, so you're actually working the same lift the entire time, and you can create a bigger differential between eccentric and concentric loads. Cons, it's usually not precise, so you can't track how much overload you're actually getting, and of course, you need a partner, which many don't have. And even if you do, needing to help each other takes away from your total time under tension and increases rest times out of optimal range for muscle growth, and doubles the time you need to spend in the gym for the same workout. The partner method is great for at-home workouts or when you don't have much equipment available because your partner can generate significant eccentric overload using pretty much anything, or nothing at all. It's also great for those who simply like working out with a partner, or if you think you should have a spotter available for safety reasons. The last technique is by far the most efficient and effective, but only recently became possible, and that's to use a smart gym that has automatic eccentric overload technology. This is the new AI-powered AEKE, which recently launched on Kickstarter, where they smashed their goal and quickly sold out. To eccentrically overload any exercise, you simply select that resistance mode and set the eccentric weight you want for each side. Then the machine will automatically decrease the load by 60% during every concentric phase, creating a huge 250% eccentric overload for each rep. You can even wait to activate the resistance until you're ready for the first eccentric phase by pressing one of the buttons on the handles or on the bar. And at the end of a set, you can press the same button to immediately deactivate the resistance. No more getting stuck, dropping weights, or awkwardly lowering it all the way down, which by the way is when most injuries happen. Pros, you can work both sides simultaneously, saving time and working each side more evenly. You don't have to use momentum or bad form, so it's safer. You don't have to change angles, so you're actually working the same lift the entire time. You get a 250% eccentric overload on every rep without having to do anything. And at my recommendation, they'll actually be pushing a software update soon that will allow you to change that overload percentage. You still get concentric load, triggering even regional hypertrophy, although you can also do eccentric only on it if you want to do something like eccentric maxing by just deactivating the resistance through each concentric phase. You don't need a partner, optimizing rest times and time under tension while decreasing total workout times. It's extremely precise, enabling you to do progressive eccentric overloading, which you're probably familiar with. You can start every set of any exercise with the eccentric phase by waiting to activate the resistance until you're in that position, and you can eliminate the danger of getting out of a heavily loaded position by deactivating the resistance. The only con? You have to buy the machine. But the crazy thing, guys, is that the game-changing Eccentric-Overload tech I just showed you is just one feature out of hundreds that this baby has. First, unlike other high-tech cable machines, it doesn't require any installation. It comes all ready to roll. Pun intended, because you can literally roll it into any room, where it fits into any space. And incredibly, there are no subscription fees. All of the resistance modes and accessories, workout planning, AI coaching, motion tracking, HIIT classes, flexibility, body composition analysis, and even things like boxing, yoga, Tai Chi, and more are all included in the one-time purchase, saving you thousands over competitors. Their AI will actually track your movements in real time and correct your form to prevent injury and optimize results, and track your fitness metrics over time to build personalized recommendations. You can also use the motion tracking to play games, including several that my kids love. On top of the eccentric overloading, it has concentric overloading and a variable resistance mode, which both have their own unique benefits, and even a rowing mode that's awesome. And to top it off, you can even AirPlay and follow my programs on the massive 43-inch touchscreen, and they even plan on integrating my programs directly into the machine's software. As of right now, they still have a few machines available on their Indiegogo campaign that you can get with a risk-free 30-day home trial via a link I have in the video description below. Or if you're watching this after March 2025, they'll have launched their own website, and I'll have that link along with a discount code for you in the video description as well. For more eccentric overload exercises, along with all my comprehensive workout programs and more premium content, be sure to check out my all-access membership sites via another link in the description below. If you like this video, please let me know by hitting that like button and leaving me a comment. Both of those things are simple, but actually help me and my channel out quite a bit, as does subscribing and turning on new video notifications so that you don't miss any of my future content. Mahalo, my friends. Until next time.